Welcome to the Power of Lifting podcast. I'm EricCafferty, owner of the Mecca Gym. I am a strength and conditioning coach and a contest prep specialist. The focus of this podcast is to dive into the mindset and the drive of people who have done incredible things with their lives.
Okay, so here's the deal with rice cakes. Butter popcorn, delicious by themselves. Nothing else required.
I don't feel that way, but I'm listening.
This is my theory, okay? Everybody's different. Caramel, only good with peanut butter and also
chocolate.
honey. Yeah, you could also do like Nutella. Unless you're Hunter, then you'd die.
Yeah,
Nut
don't
allergies.
do Nutella.
I
There's
almost
nuts
did
in
once
that.
because I was like, it's like a peanut butter free. Like I thought I was in.
Oh,
I thought I had found my thing. I'm gonna be able to cool with the cool kids at the non.
And you tried it?
Table. Huh?
did you try it?
No, I didn't try it.
Oh, I
'Cause
was
someone
like-
told me.
At least they were nice. They could have been like,
Someone saved
Right.
my life.
And then, you know, the
It was.
apple cinnamon, I don't know. It's just I haven't done a whole lot of apple cinnamon in my life.
yeah, you
Rice
can't-
cakes.
I mean, you can't really eat them with anything.
No,
kinda
you can definitely. Well, actually, you can definitely peanut butter them.
Well, everything with peanut butter.
I know. Well,
You
see,
know how
peanut
I
butter
feel.
makes everything good. That's just.
I would
the
put
thing.
peanut butter on the buttered popcorn ones and eat it.
I think honestly, peanut butter should be considered its own food group. Really.
I play this game with people where I say, "Can you name a food that wouldn't be better with peanut butter? That you wouldn't eat with peanut butter, I should say."
Can you name anything in life
that's
that
what I'm
wouldn't
saying.
be better with peanut butter? Food or no
Anything,
food?
anything.
Anything. Use your
No one's-
imagination.
People have said stuff, and I'm
Oh.
like, no, that's wrong. But you can't think of anything.
Better than
Have you
peanut
had
butter is-
peanut butter on pizza?
Oh.
No, but it sounds good.
I feel like we should probably do that.
You
at
could
some
do a
point.
pizza, and then instead of a sauce, do a peanut butter. It'd be like a Thai peanut sauce, and then put like chicken and
Right.
cheese on it.
Right. So when I was in Arizona a couple weeks ago, we were coming in hot to the Airbnb post workout, and I had it was like a sandwich. I posted on Instagram about this. It was a sandwich I had. We didn't have mayo or mustard or anything of that nature, but we had bread and we had lunch meat, and we had pickles.
Oh, and peanut
I
butter.
remember this.
And so I put peanut butter on it to, and we had leftover bacon from breakfast.
Oh yeah, bacon and peanut butter.
And that was like magical.
Now you've recreated it again.
Magical. Yeah. So like if, my fats are ever high enough, then that's definitely
It's my go-to is peanut
Yeah.
butter.
excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, welcome to the podcast, The Power of Lifting. Today we're talking to Miss Maria Wert,
Hello, Maria.
Hello.
trainer at the Mecca Gym, and she's a macro superstar. So we're here to talk to Maria, obviously, but we're also here to talk about food. This is going to be the first nutrition focused Power of Lifting podcast
Just the first.
because when you talk about
Alrighty.
lifting, you've got to talk about macros, and you've also got to talk about all the delicious things you like to eat, because fun fact, all of us bodybuilder type that everybody stereotypes as people that must not like to eat because you starve yourself all the time, that's actually far from the truth. We're probably the biggest foodies
Yeah.
on planet Earth, and Maria's a big time foodie, and we had fun when we went to nationals in Miami
Ugh.
and had all the foods.
All the foods.
When
it
was
was-
that? Why was that?
We went to, so she competed at NPC Nationals for her first national show ever. It was great. Everything, good experience overall, I'd say. She did awesome.
Of course you did.
Yeah, superstar. I mean, no pro card, but hey, your first national show, you got to get some experience under your belt.
But that Miami life.
That's right. And Miami's a great place to do it. So that was fall of 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, couple years.
Hashtag pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And
It's like the last national
it
show
was,
until COVID. I
it
think.
was like the last hurrah. It's one of the last times I traveled before the whole COVID
Yep.
nonsense. So yeah, we went and stayed in Miami and went to nationals. and ate a lot of food. It was
A
great.
lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we had great Italian,
Yeah.
which I had just gotten home from Italy, and the Italian that we had there was like,
And it was like right down the
authentic.
road from our hotel.
yeah,
somehow.
like literally like 2 doors down from the hotel. It was.
It was. I was like, oh, this, whatever. This won't be very good. And then we got free dessert too,
Mhm.
because I told them I competed. That was pretty
Mhm.
sweet.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. If you want free dessert, compete.
That's
yeah.
right.
Or just tell them you
Yeah,
competed.
no, seriously. Like they,
Look the part, bro.
I mean, backstage, there's always like a plethora of stuff. So, the one thing that, may or may not surprise people is I have at one point in time, is a great example of what not to do. I used to like go all out post contest when I competed.
Everyone's done that.
I mean, yeah, we've all been there, right? But, I was 18. First time I competed, didn't really have the greatest guidance. It was like, what do you do after the competition? Well, you go eat pizza, of course.
Or 2 large pizzas.
Yeah, or 2 large pizzas. And after my first competition, I had Los Betos.
Oh, yes.
I had
What?
two
It's
two
good.
Oh, I
And
was
I'm
like,
oh,
what?
Yes.
Yeah.
like
okay.
two burritos.
About to get stabbed. by
Right.
Maria.
Yeah, I was like,
And then-
oh my god.
Yeah, who doesn't like Los Betos?
Wait, you had 2 of those?
Yeah, 2 Los Betos burritos.
Weak.
And then I had a large pizza from Flying Pie. It was stupendous. And then I ate a whole tray of these like apricot cookie bar things that my grandma made.
Oh, grandma made them.
Yeah, I
was
mean,
like,
I didn't.
apricot,
I was
uh-huh.
like, dessert, hit or miss, But my grandma was like, oh, you can have sweets. I'm gonna bring you a whole like just an obscene amount.
Just rolled up in
And
a
so, so I ate these things, and then I was so thirsty because, of course, that's
Oh,
back
yeah.
in the day where you limit your water intake because, that's what everybody used to do, and before we knew better. And so I drank like an entire gallon of milk after that,
Oh my.
and I was
I feel like I'd be
felt-
sick from the milk.
oh, dude, I was fine until the milk,
Yeah,
and
that
then
would
it
put
was
me
like,
over.
dude,
What was the time
bad.
period that all of this was ingested?
Oh,
That
probably
was the
like
evening?
probably like 2 hours after the show.
That's the problem. I did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
That's a bad thing.
Yeah, we don't do
yeah,
that.
no, that's bad. I mean, it's typically so post contest for competitors, depending on if they have a show or not coming up in the near future, you still don't want to like try
Like an
and eat
asshole.
as much as you can. Yeah, I mean, because to be honest, like I'm like a lab, if you leave food out, it's
Yes.
bad news bears. So
Especially when you've been dieting. For a
yeah,
long time.
especially when you
Yeah.
have that like deep hunger.
That cannot be satisfied no matter what you eat.
Yeah. So it's like, basically what I typically have people do is go and just eat an untracked meal, something that you've been craving, but like normal
And a
portions.
dessert.
And yeah,
You
dessert
need a
is key.
dessert.
Yeah, you have to.
I did this the hard way. So, when we went to Seattle last year, no, it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a year and
That's
a half.
weird, but
yeah.
I was like, I'll just get a dessert at dinner. And I remember we went to the restaurant and I got my nachos and pizza. I was very happy.
Of course.
And they didn't have a dessert menu. And I thought, what kind of place
That's like a
doesn't have a
stab
dessert?
to the heart, bro.
And Jacob was like, I told you to get some dessert during the day. And I was like, God, the one time I didn't get something. So we went to the hotel and they have like those little candy sections, at the hotel that you can buy stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I got to get something. So I got like those little grandma's cookies that they sell.
Oh.
And it tasted like the best thing I've ever eaten. But if I ate it today, I would be like, this is shit.
Yeah.
What is this? It's
Yeah.
not your grandma's apricot
No,
cookies.
yeah, no.
So
No.
lesson learned, but
So, on the topic of post-contest meals, what's your best post-contest meal?
it's always got to be pizza.
Yeah,
Like, that's my
when
go-to.
we went to Front Door,
Oh yeah, the mac and cheese.
yeah,
pizza with
Front
bacon.
Door after your show
Was this in
here.
Nashville or-
No,
No,
this is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a place that's below the reef.
Oh, okay.
Dude, that
It's
was
like a flatbread style
delicious.
pizza, and we got like two 21-inch or 22-inch pizzas.
Yeah.
They were like this big. They were so good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got to get pizza.
yeah, it was so good. Yeah, I would agree. That's great. I think my go-to back in the day was Old Chicago deep dish Hawaiian.
Yes.
Okay.
and red velvet cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory.
Yes, Cheesecake
Those
Factory.
are together. Was it when they were together? Like you just walk across the
Oh yeah.
little mall?
No.
That's so true.
The place, the old Chicago at the mall was not as good as the old Chicago downtown.
Which is
not
closed
even
now.
close.
Did you know that?
No.
What?
Yeah, they closed.
The old
Yes.
Chicago?
Yeah.
DT?
Yes, there's only the mall one now. I don't want to talk about it.
That's
I think he just broke Eric's heart.
I know.
I can never compete again.
It's
That's
Because
right,
the post contest meal is not the same. No, that's not true. But yeah, delicious.
I always
It's
pick
so good.
pizza though because it's one of those things that you can't really make in prep. Like no matter how you try to make
It's
it
just
macro
not as
friendly,
good.
it's not the same as like just good crust.
But
and
call me
cheese
crazy
pizza.
though. I think I enjoy Blaze pizza about as much as I enjoy like normal pizza. Is that wrong?
I think you will have opinions that are very different than yours.
Yeah, because I don't. It's
Okay.
really like it's hard for me to like stomach all the grease sometimes. Oh, I know.
I
Yeah.
don't mind the blaze. I think I'd like the customization part of it, but at the same time, like if I wanted like good pizza, I would go somewhere else.
I only get Blaze in prep because they can track your macros. That's
Yes.
the only time I'll eat it.
So,
Otherwise,
yeah.
There you go. There's a positive.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Speaking of tracking macros and foods that you don't normally expect that you can track macros. I think one of the big things is like people have issues staying on track with tracking macros. Obviously, like it's something that you have to be very diligent and like you can't just eat something and be like, oh, like not track it because then you might forget and then, you know, your memory tends to be terrible. Like I haven't tracked my lunch I just ate just yet, but I remember there's 2 King's Hawaiian rolls, 2 packets of spicy tuna.
Oh, and I brought you this too.
Oh God,
Okay,
yes.
you're gonna have to
And then
I don't have-
I had a pickle. Yeah, so you know that's the thing. Like, and I just walked across the street, went to Winco. I actually had food from Ava. Shout out Ava's Flavas for lunch. But we went to Winco to get some display items for the podcast, and I was like, I wonder what King's Hawaiian rolls and spicy and sweet tuna taste like together, and it was actually pretty solid. But I'm also a tuna fan. But
Are you too? No.
No, I don't.
I don't mind it.
I digress. Back to my previous point, as far as foods that you wouldn't expect to be able to track the macros on.
Blaze pizza.
Blaze pizza, definitely.
So I actually
one.
have a list in prep of places that have macros. So if I do want to go out, I will typically go to it. So yeah, like Blaze Pizza, Old Chicago has macros posted.
Yep.
Cheesecake Factory does.
Cheesecake.
List that you can sell to these bodybuilders.
I should, but it's I mean it's all online. But
Yeah,
I
it's-
No. It's the effort.
Oh, the Yard
People
House.
pay for-
That's
Yard.
true. I did put a lot. There's like 50 places that are.
There is
on my
there is a
list.
lot, but it's just like
There's the
here's the deal. You
basics,
just think
too.
of somewhere you want to go and then use Google. Hello, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the resources are out there, people. It's 2021. Let's
Well,
go.
I think it's like a cultural shift. I think overall people want to be healthier. The way that you be healthier can be determined if it's healthy or not. But like restaurants are going like
Yes.
to be more helpful.
So
to
back
track
in the
things.
day, like when I first started tracking, there was no such thing as macros
yeah,
anywhere.
nobody, yeah.
And so now
Mhm.
it's nice because there's all these places that have it. But then even if you go somewhere that doesn't have
Yeah.
macros, you can, like, let's say you go to, I don't know, 10 Barrel downtown and you order a
also a solid
cheeseburger
spot.
and you're like, I don't know how to log this. Well, just go to Old Chicago and log a cheeseburger from there and it's similar, It's not going to be spot on,
Typically, or you can kind of break
Break it
down,
down is
the
another-
ingredients too. So obviously they used a bun. If you got a
Right.
hamburger with a bun,
but 85% beef.
right, you
Boom.
know that they're pretty much using 85% beef. Ask them how big the patty is; they'll tell you. It's
They
usually
think I'm
like,
insane, but I do things like that.
yeah, absolutely.
They
we
look at
we
me
all
like,
do.
"Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm
I'm
just
actually
wondering."
better than okay.
Yeah. So, you can ask like how big's the patty, you can estimate a normal size bun, pretty much plan on adding a tablespoon of butter
I
onto
always
it.
do, and I always ask not to cook it in butter, but I still add it in because it's. gonna
Yeah,
love it.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
and then if you got cheese or bacon or whatever, like you can separately add in the ingredients and like get really freaking close. Like the point is like even say you have a food label that's relatively accurate, like there's still margin for error all the
Always,
time.
yeah.
Always. So diligently tracking and just trying your best. Like a lot of times people just don't track because they just don't want to track, or they're being lazy. Or they're purposefully doing something that is off track, and so they're like, I'm just not going to track it, which is the worst thing you can possibly do, which I always tell my people, I'm sure you do the same, like, even if you go off track, track it.
That's what I say. I'm like, I want to see what you ate.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see it.
Yeah.
So,
even if you're just goofing up big time, like, put it in there,
which
because
I've done, and it's like 9,000 calories, and I'm still like, check it out.
Yeah.
Got to 9,000.
Yeah. Check this out. What's up now? We're 9,000 calories.
And I wasn't even full.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. But then you can, determine based off of, the things that you've eaten and the result that you're seeing, what's going on. And obviously, like, doing like a 9,000 calorie day off track, that is off track for most of us, is a really poor decision, right? But like, if you're supposed to be eating 3,000 and you go to like 3,500 consistently, like, your coach needs to know that. I need to know that, because then, what if you accidentally are eating 500 extra calories and, your goal is to gain weight and you're still not gaining weight? Well, what, am I going to make an adjustment to 3,200 calories because I think you're eating 33 or I think you're eating 3,000? Yeah. And then you're like, there's not going to be progress there. So honesty is the best policy.
Well, you're just hurting yourself.
Right.
You are. Yeah.
You're paying for a service and you're just kind of not getting.
And as coaches, we're making adjustments based off of the data we collect, right?
It's all data.
It is.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in previous podcasts too. It's like, don't come in here with this shame and this feeling of judgment, because that's not what we're here for. Like,
no, we want facts.
We want facts. We're going to get the data. We're going to help you get your goal.
Yes.
We're going to turn you into a robot.
That's pretty much
yeah.
right. I must eat foods now.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, yeah, you want to eat for taste and things like that. But, I'd say probably at least 80% of the time, I purely eat for function and, the same stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just way easier that way. Like, you should be prepping food to some degree, because nobody has time to like cook meals from scratch every day. You know what I mean? Even if I had like wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I want this and this and this for food today. Like, say I wanted, some pasta for lunch, and say I wanted some.
Did you say possum pasta?
Some pasta.
Oh, I heard possum pasta, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm interested.
I don't know if I'd be into eating possum, but yeah. But no, say like you wanted these extravagant meals for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, the prep time on those is insane. Like, why nobody has the time for that. I mean, unless you're jobless and like, your only sole purpose in life is to prep your own food and work out. Like, I mean, yeah. And to me, like, I love cooking too, but I don't want to have to like put that kind of effort in for that all the time, because it's simply not necessary,
Well, we talked about it too. I think the balance is, like you guys had talked about for a little bit there, was you can go out and eat.
Yes.
Still be able to track stuff.
Totally.
There's a balance between. So, like, it's not one of those things where I think a lot of people look at the sport or bodybuilding specifically, or just people who are dieting and doing whatever. It's just like, this, I can never do that because you're eating the same thing every single day, which to some degree you are, but another degree it's just like, you can change it up.
Right. Totally.
Yes. You get that freedom instead of saying it's a cheat meal,
So,
screw it all.
yeah.
kind of.
So, I mean, what's your approach when it comes to like your own food prep and things like that? Because, I mean, you're definitely one of the most diligent people out there when it comes to tracking food. I mean, disclaimer, I look at her macros every week. Like, I know that she's...
If I'm off by a gram, I'm like...
Yeah, I know. She's like one of the most extremely on point people.
Yeah.
And she's very good at it. And, one of the big reasons why I wanted to have her on to talk about this is because, A, she's a stud at hitting macros and doing everything that she's supposed to be doing. But B, she doesn't just eat like rice and chicken and oatmeal and stuff. Yeah. She's definitely one of the more creative people, and she makes good stuff.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your strategy when it comes to that.
Okay, so I'm a fat kid at heart is what I always say. So I love food, and I think the biggest thing with bodybuilding, it kind of made me want to find how to make things macro friendly that taste good, because I'm not going to compete and do something if I have to give up food, because I love food. So
Amen.
a big reason I started making like macro friendly things was because I was starving and I wanted to feel normal. So like, you know, feeding Jacob and things like that, I can't just be like, we're going to eat chicken and rice for dinner.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of started playing around with it. And then I made things like my nachos and tater tot casserole and all of those meals that are actually, people say, I get messages all the time. They're like, is that a cheat meal? And I'm like, no, these are the macros. And they're like, what's a macro? And it's a way to tell other people too, you know, like whatever we eat is our diet essentially. So whether you're eating tilapia or chicken or nachos, that's your diet. And people like to label it as good and bad, but making like swaps and doing things, you know, you can make it not labeled as bad, if that makes sense.
Right. So, you know, the whole calories in, calories out argument, which, you know, it's really silly to me that that's even an argument out there, because people are like, oh, well, all calories aren't the same. No, calories are a unit of measure. Like it's a measurement tool. It's just like, you know, yeah, a carb is a carb. Yeah, well, a carb, there's different types of carbs, but we track carbs. It's, you know, we also, you know, look at obviously sugar and fiber and like the complexities of the carbs and things like that, right? There are so many intricacies when it comes to, you know, what's right and wrong with nutrition. But you know what I mean? It's, for the most part, you have to start with like foundational things, because if you try to like, okay, here's my real pet peeve.
No.
When people get into minutia of nutrition, which
like
there is a
meal
lot of,
timing
like when you get into like micronutrients, minerals, you know, composition of carbohydrates, you know, these little
Super
fine
specific.
details, super specific elements of nutrition, and yet they discount calories and macros. Like,
Yes.
what the F? You know what I mean? Yeah, that is backwards.
It's like
They
a
treat the
pyramid.
micro as the macro.
Well,
Right.
they're treating the like, oh, you know, you can have as many blueberries as you want because there's tons of antioxidants and all
yeah.
this shit. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, blueberries are good for you, but even if you eat too many blueberries, you're going to get fat. Like
Yeah.
it's an energy like unit of like it's just an energy thing, right? So you intake energy, you expend energy, right? So your BMR, you know, your NEAT, your thermic effect of food, like all these different factors that influence how many calories you're burning in a day. So you can't just discount the calories from things and be like, oh, the calories don't matter. Like, no, the calories are the first thing that matter, you moron. But there are also other things that matter that come
Right.
after calories.
And I think everybody should learn to track macros, even if you're not a bodybuilder,
100%.
because you need to learn what foods contain what you're putting into your body. People mindlessly eat, and when they track that first week of tracking, they may not be trying to reach certain numbers, but they're tracking. And they're like, wow, Maria, I didn't know I was eating 150 grams of fat every day. Like, I thought I was
Right.
eating, quote, healthy. So
Right.
they start realizing that. And then when they make those adjustments to macros and start hitting numbers, your body is essentially establishes a baseline, right? Where it knows what it's getting to eat the next day. It's like, are we going to starve? We don't know. But now when it's consistently getting X amount of fat, carbs, and protein, it starts to work better for you. Your
Oh, for
metabolism
sure.
starts to run better. You feel better. You're more energized. Your sleep improves.
Things are more predictable.
Yes. And people slowly stop eating just shit food. Like, I'm not going to say rice cakes, but they don't just eat, you know, pizza and then have protein shakes. They start to kind of learn how you can eat other foods to hit macros to help you feel more full and better than just, you know, it fits my macros, so I'm going to eat a donut. And it's like,
So
well,
what you're saying is start, just start.
yeah, just start.
And then you can work your way with
Yeah.
professional help,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
And then-
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The key to nutrition is just doing it, right? Just like
Yeah.
anything else. Like she's saying, you know, the tracking element is so key to learn what's in the food. And that's the thing. People are like, oh, I don't want to get stuck tracking food for forever. And it's like, well, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Like I haven't tracked food like spot on a lot in the past like 7 years since I've actually gotten on stage. But
you can look at food.
I know
Yeah.
roughly how much I'm eating, like within a couple hundred calories, because I've had so much experience tracking. I tracked my macros really diligently for like, gosh, long time, like probably 10 years. I don't know. So, I can look and tell you like, how many carbs is in a King's Hawaiian roll. Like, I think it's 16. Let's check.
I think
It's
it is.
16. Yeah.
There's like
You know what I
11's in the rice cake.
11. So 11's in the caramel, but
In
I
the
think the
flavels.
butter is like 7 or
It
8.
is, 'cause
It's
that's
7. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what about
So-
pickles?
Zero. Or
right?
less than 1.
Yeah, it's like less than 1. And those,
I saw that one.
yeah,
I don't
those
eat tuna,
are,
so I actually don't know.
Oh no.
they're super lean.
Carbs though, at 0.
Those have a little bit of carbs because they put some stuff
Is there
in
spices and stuff in
it.
them?
Yeah. So they put, where's the ingredients list on this thing? Ah, here we go.
Ingredients.
Yeah, it has
gross.
sugar in it. This has sugar in it. Oh my
Okay.
gosh, blood sugar is going haywire right now.
But you
because
don't
of
have to
this
track
tuna.
forever. I just think that tracking allows you to make better choices when you do go out. And so let's say,
Absolutely.
you're going out for dinner that night. Maybe you don't want to have like a large breakfast spread, right? Maybe have something higher in protein, lower in fat, save some carbs and fats for dinner and drinks or something
Right.
like that.
Well, and you're going to feel better if you eat
Yes.
a certain way,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, for me, I know that if I go out to eat, like, I'm not going to eat something fried.
Oh, never.
because-
well, not never, because mozzarella sticks exist.
I mean, like, there's a time and a place, but, like, in general, like, I'm not going to go with, like, if I go somewhere that has fish and chips, I'm not getting the
Right.
fish and chips. Like, I'm not going to typically eat fries or things like that. Like, I won't necessarily not get them with my food, but, like, maybe I'll have, like, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. Not, like...
I was like, I don't have
not
that
like,
filter.
Not, like, 65, right? Because I know that, like, I just don't feel good when I have large, like, super... It's like, you could go out and eat and have, like, 100 grams of fat in a meal, like, no
Easy.
problemo.
That's like
right?
an appetizer at some places.
Right. And so I don't want to do that because I know that my body is not used to processing that amount of fats, and I will feel pretty crummy from
You
it.
might feel good for a second, and then
I'll feel
you'll
really
go home
good when
and
it's
be
coming
like,
in,
"Ugh."
and then it'll just
Yeah.
slide right out. It'll be great.
We're not telling you which end.
Yes. Yeah. So,
It's overall something that is not like you look at it as this diet or this. It's
people look at it as a
feel better.
prison, right?
Yeah, they do.
As a-
Like,
as a
I'm
kind of
so
an
tired of tracking. I can't do it. And it's like, well, also, again, if you establish that baseline, you upregulate and you get to be Maria level where you're eating 3,400
Right.
calories a day.
Right.
It's not a chore because the world is your oyster at that point.
Yeah,
can
you
eat
can.
anything.
Yeah, the options are endless.
But
I
people
mean,
want to go from eating 1,200 calories to 3,400, and it's like, well, it's not going to happen in 8 weeks.
Yeah, like, how do you get to eat so much
Yeah,
and things like
I
that? And
get
it's
that all
like,
the time.
well,
yeah.
it
lot of
all
hard
it all
work and
starts
time.
with a lot of consistency because that's the thing. If you're somebody that's not eating enough
Most
historically, most women and there's a lot of men that like starve themselves all day and then get home and pound beer and nachos, which is not the best idea, FYI. Unless you track your nachos and fit it into your daily macro goal, right? But you get severely downregulated, and just your metabolism literally just does not function the same as somebody who's been consistently eating food, right? The whole goal is like, eat to perform. More people need to start eating the way athletes eat, really, and fuel their performance. And in turn, people should also be focused on their performance. It still blows my mind the amount of people that are just like not interested in exercise.
Well, that's the thing. They're like, I want to eat this much, but my training's half-assed. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, that comes into it too.
Or even if they don't want to work out at all. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That blows my mind hardcore. They're like, yeah, do I have to lift? And I don't work with a lot of people like that anymore. But if I like randomly have a conversation on an airplane with somebody, they're like, yeah, I don't really like working out, and I'm like, well, that's too bad. Like, you're missing out. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think that's partially
Just do.
right. I think that's partially, the goal of this podcast too, is like, if anybody listens that isn't super into lifting, like, I hope it kind of motivates them to lift. You know what I mean?
I think it's intimidating for some people. They don't know where to start, right? And that's a whole other topic.
And tracking food is intimidating as well, right? To people, especially when you don't know. It's like, I think the funny thing is, when I first started competing, I know, back in the dark ages.
No, I used to use a notebook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I
So
wrote
I'd just
everything in a
like
notebook.
computer paper, like, out of my printer. Yeah. And I did the same thing. But like, I spent probably hours in a grocery store, and somewhere in the neighborhood of legitimate hours in the grocery store, just like looking at different foods, because so I was given a meal plan to compete the first time, but it had like macros written out on it for the meals at least. And so I was like, well, I should be able to exchange things out. This was like legitimately before people really counted macros, And I just thought to myself, I'm like, well, there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to exchange like for like, and I don't want to eat chicken and rice for every single meal. So
you're just comparing macros.
Yeah, so I just started just comparing macros to stuff. So, I quickly found shrimp and like, egg whites. Yeah, I mean, like
hours.
I mean, dude, let's be honest. I do not like chicken a whole lot. Like, I'm going to be flat out. Like, are you a chicken fan?
I won't eat it plain, but I make like a good fiesta chicken where it's like this cream like sauce that goes on it.
Yeah, see,
with,
like
green chilies and stuff
admittedly,
like that.
I ate plain barbecued chicken for dinner last night, and it was fine, but I was also
chicken
really
strips.
hungry. Yeah, there you go.
Breaded.
But like, I'm a beef guy.
I'm a beef gal, yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I mean?
Preferably
like, somebody
towards
telling
the
me
dinner.
that I should have chicken for lunch
Yeah.
every day, I'm like, there's got to be a way around this, But then you look at beef, and then most of the beef, especially back then, there wasn't, a whole lot of places you could get really lean ground beef. So I was like, man, 85, percent ground beef, like, no thanks. Like, there goes my fats for the week, And so, you figure out things like, fish is pretty lean, shrimp's pretty lean.
Shrimp is good.
I'm a huge salmon fan.
I like salmon, but that has a lot of fat too.
That does have a lot
But
of
it
fat.
tastes the best.
Oh, yes,
by far.
absolutely.
Makes sense.
I mean, halibut is delicious.
I like halibut.
The
I've literally
problem-
never eaten tilapia
Oh.
ever in my whole life.
So
like tilapia.
I ruined myself for tilapia.
I can't.
Oh.
Yeah. I was mid-prep, and my sister had sent me this hot sauce. She was down in like Argentina or Chile or something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll laugh at this. So she had gone on vacation, shout out Jolene, and sent me a bottle of hot sauce. It's like Marie Sharp's, and it was this habanero based hot sauce. And like, I love spicy food. Love spicy food. Capital F-U-C-K, that spicy chip. But
Yeah.
I love spicy food in general. And so she sends me this hot sauce, and it was so good. And I had just gone to Costco and gotten a bunch of spinach. And so I did cooked spinach, and I did tilapia, because tilapia tastes like whatever you put on it. Let's be honest. Like,
don't know.
it's a
Never
trash.
tried it.
It's a trash fish.
I've never even tried it.
No, I won't.
Oh,
It
it's
grosses me out.
basically like, it's sort of the consistency of halibut. It just doesn't really have a taste.
Okay.
Just think of a fishy texture that tastes like the seasoning you put on it.
That sounds gross. I don't think I'm about that.
I mean, it's not the
Are you?
worst.
Yes, I am. It's not the worst.
It's not
Maybe
the
that's
worst.
the way to say it.
Yeah, it's not the
But
worst.
I don't want to waste my time on that's not the worst.
I mean,
I
the
need it to be
fat
good.
the fat intake is the fat amount of it is extremely low. So if I'm like saving my fats up to have a fat wad of peanut butter at the end of the day, like I was back then,
You could put peanut butter on the tilapia.
and it would taste way better. But so I get this hot sauce and all this tilapia and spinach, and I was just like, I remember I got home from the gym, cooked up this fish, tons of this hot sauce. I must have used like a quarter of the bottle, and because anyway, ate it all.
that sodium.
and I felt so good. It wasn't that high in sodium,
wasn't?
It's probably like a couple hundred mgs of sodium tops
Oh,
from
that's
all the
not bad.
hot sauce, right? I added salt on top of it, of course, because
You have to.
Hashtag love the salt. But
Salt is life.
it is. It really is. But anyway, I used all this hot sauce, and I was just sitting there like sweating as I was eating it. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. Like, it was so flavorful. And at the time, I was getting up to do cardio in the morning. So I would get up, drive to the gym, do cardio, and then come back home, and then go to school. Dude, straight up, I did not make it to the gym. That's the only day I've ever missed a day of cardio I intended to do because I was shitting myself.
I called it. Not
Like,
yet.
dude, the worst. Like, I could not get off the toilet for a solid 3 hours.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sounds painful.
Dude, like, I was literally texting people like, I am worried. Like, should I
Did
be
you look
concerned?
at it? Was it hot sauce in the
will is
toilet?
in the desk.
Dude, it wasn't even like that much like
Oh my
volume of stool, man. It was like
Just burning.
no, like, and it wasn't even the burning, but you get that lower like abdominal like stomach ache, like deep lower, and
We're
just
all like, yeah.
yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, like your guts and your intestines are just it feels like somebody's killing you from the inside out. Like, it's horrible.
Coming out.
So have you eaten it since?
Absolutely not. No. And yeah, I don't even think I've had tilapia since.
Or the hot
like,
sauce?
Definitely not the
You
hot
just
sauce.
throw that straight back
Yes.
to where it came
Oh, I threw it in the trash for sure. Yeah, no, worst
Oh my
prep
God.
experience of my life. But I mean, speaking of which, hot sauce is a great way to change up the flavor of your food,
There you go.
right?
Seasonings
So,
and sauces.
seasonings and
Yeah.
sauces, like, I mean, try different salt. I mean, garlic powder, onion powder,
Yeah, I've
like
got a lot of
those are my
seasonings. I
staples.
Like the what is the brand? It's the salt-free brand. What is it called?
Oh, Mrs. Dash.
Mrs. Dash.
Yeah, I just
salt-free.
bought some Mrs. Dash
Because they
actually.
actually just
yeah.
have potassium. There's no sodium.
Yeah.
And then I just loaded up with Morton Light Salt, and I'm like,
Right.
that was a good decision.
Yeah, I have this ever since I went on my honeymoon in Hawaii. We got this. It's this Hawaiian red salt. We can probably put a link below. But they sell.
Put a link below, 'cause
Yeah,
it's delicious.
they sell it on Amazon, and it is like it makes things so flavorful. It's like naturally occurring salt or whatever is supposed to be better for you. So
Yeah, we snagged that up the next day after you recommended.
yeah, it's delicious.
Anyway, it was good.
Oh man, it's like it just
I didn't know
tastes
salt
different.
Could have and like.
Oh,
I
that
didn't know,
is-
like, I just
Salt
didn't
is so
understand.
good.
Yeah,
I
like
love
the-
salt.
Like the ability to have more quality salt. But I just thought salt.
Yeah, I know.
Not the case, bro.
My
This-
dad said the same thing, and I was like, no, you got to get Morton Light Salt. He's like, I have salt. It's right here. And I was like, Jesus, Dad, get the damn Morton Light Salt.
Yeah, Morton Light Salt to me doesn't taste the best, but you know,
You got to put a lot on.
yeah, you got to put a lot on, and I just like having the added potassium with it. You know, that's a huge benefit. So I was actually talking to a member in the gym this morning that I recently met. Super great dude. He's been lifting for. He told me he's been lifting for a long time. He looks like he's been lifting for a long time. He's been in the industry, and we just kind of talking about. He's like, "Hey, what's your opinion on this? Like, morning or evening? When should I lift? If I have the option,
For a
you
man.
know, for a man,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, dude. Should I lift in the morning or evening?" And I'm like, well, you know, the long and short of it is you should lift whenever you feel the absolute best, whenever you get the best quality of workout, whenever you don't feel rushed. You know, it really comes down to how much effort you're able to put into the gym. So you can adapt to either one, obviously, but like from a research standpoint, you can't conclusively say like one is better than the other because some people just do better morning, do better afternoon, and you can adapt yourself to do pretty much the same either way. But I would argue, ideally, it's not actually early morning or late evening. It's somewhere in between because you're going to get a balance of the benefits of both. But one of the reasons why is because if you work out, you know, a little bit later in the day, you're obviously going to have fuel on board before you work out, and having a little bit of nutrients in your body, it's going to be beneficial. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you can work out fasted. Yeah, sure you can. It's like, it's doable, but
You do that.
I do,
yeah. But, you know, if you,
Fasting.
what's
just kidding.
yeah,
We
yeah,
could
yeah,
get into that.
right?
I was like, oh,
But,
well,
I mean,
let me tell you.
in general, most people will do better having some fuel on board, especially if they're in a deficit. You know, you're trying to lose weight.
Most people, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine, you know, say hypothetically you're hiking up a mountain, like you're going to run out of fuel eventually, and then you're screwed. You can't do anything, right? So you need to fuel for the activity you're doing. Think about, again, performance-based nutrition, right? So typically you're going to do better if you fuel before you work out. So that's one reason to work out later in the day, because if you're like me and you like to wait on eating a little bit longer in the day, I wouldn't say I intermittent fast, but when my calories are decreased, Maria's the same way. She doesn't like to eat till later in the day. Like if your calories are, you know, somewhat lower, especially, then I'm going to save more of my calories for a little bit later in the day, because I do well on that, you know, and most people do fairly well on that. And you feel less hungry later, and you just feel less hungry overall. But so if I'm saving my food until I usually eat, I try and eat around like 10 or 11 because I get up at dark 30. And so, you know, I want to work out after that. I want to work out after I've had a good meal in me, just because typically I'm going to feel better. But the catch to that is most of the time you actually feel better because of electrolytes and hydration, not because of the calories necessarily. So like for Maria, she does sodium and water pre-workout most, you know, fairly heavily. So not necessarily calories, but she gets the fluid and the electrolytes in. And that's actually going to make a bigger difference than like the calories you have 30 minutes before. Your overall like fed state is going to have more of an impact, just because, you know, you're not going to digest all that food you ate an hour ago to use while you're exercising. Like, you know what I mean? Sure. But the other thing is, if you look at like from a research perspective, like protein feedings and things like that around your workout, like you could argue that, you know, you need your amino acid pool to be a little bit more sufficient around workout timing, and you at least need to make sure that you're eating immediately thereafter if you're fasting before, right? I mean, having protein on board.
Yeah, I think that with that though, like if you were to fast, right, like I do, and you eat a lot more food later in the day, that food doesn't just go away, right? So
right.
it carries
So that's going to
over
carry
to the
over
next
to the next
morning.
day,
So
right?
lifting early, you're not. Granted, I wake up hungry, but you still have some of that.
Yeah, you totally
over.
do have fuel on board.
You
which
won't
is,
die.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Which is why, you know, your overall fed state, right? If your overall calorie amount that you're currently consuming, things like that. But so speaking of that topic, so pre and post workout nutrition, you know, you're typically fasting before your workouts, but post workout, what's your go-to?
Whatever's easiest, usually.
That's a good answer.
So I know it's lame, but I will plan my dinner first, because that's like my biggest meal.
So yeah. So I kind of asked you about this earlier, but then we got sidetracked. So how do you do it? So there's the first answer for you.
Yeah, that's how
she
I start
plans dinner
first.
first.
Dinner is my priority, and I actually plan to make it really easy. I tell my clients this too. I plan out dinners for the week, like in my notes, so I know exactly what I'm getting. I know what to get at the store. I have my grocery list. Boom. So dinners, and then everything else is kind of worked around that.
Did you hear that, everybody?
So,
she plans.
Yes. So my dinner tonight is going to be spinach artichoke sandwiches.
Tonight?
Which sounds kind of gross. With bacon. Yeah, tonight.
Spinach artichoke.
Bacon.
Like with chicken or bacon?
Yeah, with chicken.
Oh, chicken.
And then you put them
spinach.
in these like pitas, and then you put some garlic salt on it.
Absolutely.
Put them in the oven. They get crispy on the outside, hot and cheesy on the inside. Delicious. So.
Sounds amazing.
So I plan that, right, and then I kind of just go around that based on how I'm feeling for the day. Sometimes I'll put dessert in too, because again, if I don't have dessert, I'm not a very happy gal. So I'll put something in, and then I can always change it. But then I know like what meat to take out that morning for dinner for that night and things like that. And then, yeah, post-workout, I'm pretty boring. I usually do some kind of rice cake combo with like rice cakes and what is it? The Laughing Cow cheeses.
Delicious.
With like salami or with zucchini on it or mushroom or just something that's pretty easy. Even if I'm not in prep, I like rice cakes a lot.
I love rice
I just
cakes.
really do.
Yeah, rice cakes
I like the
are the
crunch.
bomb.
I like
it's
that
like
they're
eating
versatile.
a chip. Yeah.
Yeah. You can make them
like a
however
chip,
you want.
but it's not freaking 90 million grams of fat.
Yeah.
Well, you can put a bunch of stuff on it.
Yeah,
That's true.
they're just vessels
It's a vessel.
for food
It
to
is.
me.
It's a vessel.
Yes, so I'll do that a lot. I'm trying to think what else I do. I do a lot of things for my cookbook, so.
Shout out to your cookbook.
Hashtag.
I've got 3 of them. I've got 2 dinner ones and then a dessert one, and they're on my website.
Right. Put the
So,
website down below.
Yeah, I do a lot of those because then I make them in bulk and I can just pull them out of the fridge and eat stuff. However,
Right.
I'm all about efficiency, and so
Yeah.
people say they don't have time. I'm like, you don't make time, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like you have to prepare things if you're ever going to, eat well. Generally speaking.
Well, it depends on your lifestyle, I'm sure too, because
Yes.
you just got to plan around that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Plan on when you're going to be able to eat, how much time you have to eat. Just depending on your job, your lifestyle, if you're eating at home, if you're eating on the run, taking, kids places, like, there's 90,000 different excuses to make things happen or to not, follow what you should be doing. But, it's also possible. You just have to put in a little bit of effort.
And it gets easier once you start getting into
yeah.
routine and you're like, okay, I know how to meal prep certain things, and it's just like second nature. You don't really think, like when you ask me how I eat, I'm like, I don't know. Hold on, I got to think about it because it's just you just do it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. Everybody has to eat. Everybody has to go to the grocery store. You're actually going to save yourself time and money big time by planning things.
I track my finances too, surprisingly. Yes.
Yeah, shockingly enough.
I know.
Yeah.
You save a lot.
Yeah, well, yeah, I spend a lot of money on groceries, but we're not going to get into that.
On groceries, yeah, but on eating out, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, on eating out?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, the best food out for me is always going to be sushi, just because I'm a sushi freak.
Good. Yeah.
Freak. I love sushi.
I love Los Betos since you said that.
Yeah, Los Betos I haven't actually had in a really long time.
I just had it this week.
Did you?
Wow,
Oh,
nice. I had it 2 weeks ago.
The California burrito.
Ooh.
That's my jam.
Is it? I used to, in high school, just pound the fish burritos. I'd get 2 at a time.
I don't like fish.
I haven't tried it. but
I don't know.
it's good.
It was super good. They're like, it's deep fried fish, though. It's like, yeah.
Which, again, speaking of tracking, eating Los Betos, they don't have macros online. But you bet your bottom dollar I still track it. So what you do is I go into like Qdoba and you can like build a meal or Chipotle, use a tortilla, use the carne asada. And then the California has like breakfast potatoes in it. So I
Yes,
log
I have
a
had
serving
that
of Denny's breakfast potatoes. And then I just put all of that into my Fitness
Build it
Pal.
together.
Yeah, and you save it as a meal.
Yeah.
And you save it as Los Betos, California. Boom. You don't have to be like, how do I calculate dinner? You're just like, there it is. It's already saved. And then boom.
Yeah, you don't have to write it in your notebook
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
No more
There's
notebooks.
technology now.
I'm so
No
old
more
school.
notebooks.
Makes me feel old.
Yeah. Yeah, Los Betos. Now you got me.
I know.
You got me
Yeah, we
thinking
got
about Los Betos. It's bad.
So
but
when you like obviously everyone listening here is like, yeah, I got to track my food. And then
Yeah.
Maria, you have your system. Is there like some typical pieces of advice that you two give those people who are like, I don't know how to do it?
Oh, yeah. Well,
So,
for
like,
my
what do you say?
clients, I give them like documents because, well, that's the way I am. So I have like things on eating out, on tracking alcohol, on how to weigh your food in grams versus ounces, like how to use my Fitness Pal essentially, because that's what most people utilize.
Yep.
But if someone just was to ask and say, well, how do you even start tracking your food? I just say start scanning things, right? Because most people eat processed foods anyways. They're not eating zucchini like I am. So scanning everything you eat, or if you go to McDonald's drive-thru, you can easily find the macros. Just put it in and just practice. And then, you get better with that. You don't go
Yeah.
from 0 to 100. You just kind of have to start somewhere.
yeah. No, I mean, and really, you have to put your food in. So, like, sometimes I'll provide people like a framework of this is generally, give them meal by meal macro recommendations. Oftentimes, just because that's helpful. Because if you're like, just hit these totals, they're like, well, You know, if you just start tracking along through the day, right? Ideally, you want to put your food in the day before.
Yeah,
at least the
no
things,
one does that, but I tell them that.
I
say
mean,
just sit down and plan it for the next day.
Yeah, the people that hit their macros spot on, like they plan it the next day.
Yeah,
you know,
especially when you're first learning.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't necessarily do that, but I eat very similar every single day.
It's like dinners are the only thing that really changes.
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of the time.
really the changing factor, and really it's either, you know, ground beef with taco seasoning of sorts or steak. Those are that's like dinner for me every night. It's like one or the other.
He's keto is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. So keto. Yeah, right? No.
With the Hawaiian.
With the Hawaiian,
buns.
yeah, with the
There
Hawaiian
you go.
sweet
It
rolls.
was a fork, a tub, and beef.
Okay.
But it looked delicious.
Yeah, no, that's my jam. Beef is the best thing ever.
So you've got people like Eric that do a tub of beef, and that's his macros. You've got people like me that make nachos, but at the end of the day, we're both hitting our macros, right?
Yeah,
It's
you know,
just-
and the thing is too, like there are solutions for if you're busy, right? So if you're out there and you're like, dude, like I just don't even want to worry about all that. Like, what can I do? You know, hire a meal prep service. You know, I have, you know, Ava, you know, brings me 2 meals a day for the whole week. It's the best thing in the world because I don't have to put anything together. I literally go to the fridge, grab the meal, put it in the microwave, take it out, put a shit ton of salt on it, put some sriracha on it, and we're good to go. Like
that's an exact amount, shit ton.
Yeah, shit ton. It's like about like a probably at least a 5 to 10 second shake.
That's what I do too. If you can see the food still, you didn't put enough.
Yeah, it needs to be sparkling.
Like
it
the
needs
little
to be
bed.
sparkling.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so you know, there's that. So I have those 2 meals, and then oftentimes do a shake, and then dinner. You know, and if I didn't do a shake during the day, do a shake after dinner. Typically, I also like something sweet at night. So, you know, if I saved a lot of calories for that on a particular day, like last night, I don't know how I did this. Oh, I didn't have beef for dinner. So I had like a bunch of extra fats. And I was like,
peanut butter.
What is this? Yeah, totally 2 tablespoons of peanut butter down the hatch, right?
I did that last night. I did chocolate and peanut butter because I was like, I planned something and I was like, I don't want to eat that. Like, it's just too much work to do it. So I grabbed I had these Hershey chocolates and I just put them in peanut butter. I was like, that's good.
Done deal.
Tasted good. I was happy.
So, but yeah, I mean, you can do, you know, any sort of variety of things like that, right? Hire a meal prep service, get meals delivered that you know the macros to. That is key. They have to track the macros. You know, so Ava gives me a printout every week of the macros of the meals she gives me. I plug those into my macro tracking app, our own app that we're piloting. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
And then, you know, it's just in there, right? So it's just in there, saved as a meal, right? I can just, you know, track it super easily. And then, you know, like I said, for dinner, it's typically beef with more beef. And I'll do like either rice or green beans or, I mean, in both of those things potentially, or, you know, whatever. It really just depends on what the wife made, to be honest. But, you know, so like I have to be flexible. But so here's the other really key, I guess, way to track something like that is if you're cooking a meal or you have a spouse cooking a meal, leave the carbs, proteins, and fats or the individual ingredients as separated as possible, right? Because if I'm coming home, she doesn't know exactly what my macros are. She doesn't know if I'm eating a lot of carbs or if I'm eating no carbs for dinner or whatever.
So just keeping them separate.
So she'll cook the meat, and then like if she cooked rice in the rice cooker, like she's not gonna mix all my food like with rice and things like that. Like there's rice in the rice cooker, there's meat of sorts, there's probably a vegetable of sorts, and then
which is a carb, by the way.
What's that?
In case people don't know that.
What, vegetables? Vegetables are the devil. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I love vegetables.
Vegetables are totally hit or miss.
I love them. All of them.
You have to have
prepared.
some fiber and whatnot. But yeah, cooked vegetables definitely better for you. Just FYI. But anyway, keep the ingredients separated. So pasta and like spaghetti is an example that I give people oftentimes. They're like, oh, you probably don't eat stuff like that or whatever. It's like, well, no, I absolutely do eat that type of stuff.
I eat everything you want.
Exactly. But if say your spouse is, cooking dinner, a really easy hack for that is cook whatever meat is going in there, cook the noodles, cook the sauce. Keep them separate, and then if you have cheese, which you should, if
everyone
you're having
should
pasta,
have cheese with
like
every meal.
absolutely cheese, unless you're lactose intolerant.
So
You can still buy cheese, but it's fake
extra cheese for you, for the lactards there. So anyway, keep the ingredients separated, because then you can measure out your meat, you can measure out your noodles, measure out your sauce. Then you can play with your sauce to noodle ratio.
Yeah.
Those are both typically high in carbohydrates.
And that's easy for families too. So if
Totally
you have
easy.
if kids, you're feeding them, keep it separate.
Yeah, and if the kid doesn't want,
what they're eating too.
yeah, if the kid doesn't like eat the meat out of it or something, you're like, fine, then I'm not giving you any meat. Don't need it. Or if some weirdos out there just want noodles with
that was my sister. She
I'm
just
like,
ate plain ass noodles.
Bro. Yeah, one of my best friends, his
It was
wife is
weird.
a noodle freak like that, and God bless her, I love her to death, but I don't get it.
I
just don't understand.
Well, like Eric's busy, so he's got Ava. Lucky you. But for people that don't have Ava, I know that that's why I started fasting originally. I just didn't have time to eat.
Right.
And I was like, I can't do this. So like my dinners are probably 50% of my day.
Right.
And so I know a lot of busy like moms or like people. I have a lot of nurse clients that
Yeah.
have that situation where they can't eat all day.
Need quick things.
And so instead
yeah.
of meal prepping, they'll just save a lot of food for the end of the day. And then that's a way that you can also make sure that you're getting your food in
Yeah, true.
while you're busy.
Yeah.
I think people, it's good to hear, but like people need to understand that when it comes to food out in the world, and one of the reasons we have this podcast is to educate people. There's so much crazy stuff. People get so confused. They're like, I'm not supposed to eat this. I can eat this.
Yeah.
Should I not eat this? How much of this should I eat? When I should eat? All this kind of stuff. It's really simple.
It is.
And then you just build off of what needs to be personal to you.
Yeah.
Right.
But you eat
Right.
because it's beautiful. Everyone loves to eat.
Yeah.
You need to eat. But just like tracking it and doing those things to build those habits.
I would say, if anything, focus on separating your protein intake out into 4 separate meals. That's pretty easy to do. You can do shakes, You can. I mean, I do like protein shakes occasionally. I'm not like an everyday shake type of guy, but I use them
I'll do like a
occasionally.
milkshake with them.
Listen, when you eat like 260 to 300 grams of protein a day.
That's true. You've got to get it in.
You need some.
It's a
That's
challenge
fair. That
at
is fair.
times. Okay, cut me some slack.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So anyway, 4 separate meals of protein, and then do kind of have some more flexibility with your nutrients based off that. So, like you said, for like the nurses or people that are busier that have hard time sitting down to eat, like, plan it out. That's the key. Like, plan it out. What can you do? And if you can't do that, then at least find something that you can do and stick to it and see how it works for you. On that note, challenges. One of the other things that people talk to us a lot about is probably traveling and nutrition while traveling.
Yes.
So, earlier we were talking about going to Miami, having some bomb food, Italian food, like,
Bless you, Italian food.
Seriously. Amen. But yeah, I mean, traveling really goofs people up on their nutrition oftentimes. I mean, I like almost weekly, I've got clients traveling and, how do I do this? How do I do that when I travel? Like, once again, comes back down to planning, right? Knowing where you're going, knowing what you're going to have access to.
Well, how on you want to be on too with nutrition
Right.
too. If it's one of those trips where it's once in a lifetime and you're like, I'm not tracking, then don't. But if you're like, I want to be on, I'm someone that travels a lot, you have to just plan. Yeah.
Yeah, like if, when we pre-COVID, we went to Italy, and
And
I'm
you
not
did not
going
track
to.
a thing.
I didn't track it.
Yeah.
Thing.
Listen,
and I
calzones are not in my fitness
and
pal.
I had gelato every day. It
Yes,
was
I did
amazing.
too.
Every day,
Twice a day.
sometimes twice a
Yeah,
day.
it's like 2:00. I'm like, it's gelato.
I'm like, we just ate lunch.
Yes.
We need gelato.
And then like 7 p.m. You're like, it's not time for dinner. It's time for gelato.
Yeah, and then
'Cause they
after
eat
dinner,
late.
gelato.
They're always closed as well. Because they were always open at like 9 p.m. for dinner.
Yeah. Anyway,
I do miss that.
there
That
was
good.
yeah. I mean, like no way I'm gonna track that.
Right.
But if you track your nutrition the rest of the friggin' year, like
Exactly.
you can afford to do that because you're healthy. Like, don't be one of those people that's always in a bad cycle of like
Yes.
falling off the wagon from tracking, because then you're never gonna get anywhere, and you'll never feel good about going on vacation and not having to like
Be so on.
be restricted.
Yes.
That's
And I think
messed up.
that comes down to having that consistency year round, where
For
your
sure.
metabolism's in a better place. So when you go and eat, you have better hunger cues. You're not feeling like you need to go balls to the wall eating
Right.
everything. And then if you are someone that's tracking, I think the biggest thing you want to do is just pack proteins, is what I always tell my clients.
For sure.
Because protein's the hardest to find. It's always paired with a lot of fat. So if you just
Always.
pack some boring ass protein sources, you can easily fill carbs and fat anywhere you go,
Always.
with drinks, food, like
Yeah.
anything. So
Right. Carbs and fats are easy to find, man.
Yes.
It's quality protein sources. And
Yeah.
in Italy, that is like it is hard to find like lean protein sources. Yeah, I mean bread, seriously, right?
Log
I
as
think I
protein.
about ate enough bread to actually get significant protein
That's
from
what
it.
I'm saying.
That's legit.
That's when you know it's good.
Right.
I'm like, I had 2,000 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
But that's like 100 protein.
Yeah, I got my protein
I
in.
killed it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm so good at what I do.
Yeah.
You're like, go back to your coach. Did great. I did
Yeah,
great.
I did spot on. But
Proteins.
But yeah.
Cover the fat with your thumb. Right?
Yeah.
right. Even if you're like traveling for business, right? And say you're going to like, Seattle or California or wherever you're going for business, right? A lot of people travel for work. And you're staying in hotel rooms, like check ahead. Do they have a fridge? Do they have
call
a
and
microwave?
Ask for one.
Oh
just in
yeah.
case.
I mean, you gotta do your homework there. Like do your research. Do they have a gym near the hotel? If not, get a hotel that is near a gym. Oftentimes, even if your company's paying for it, they'll ask you like where you want to stay. Stay at a place that's within short walking distance of a gym, or a place that has a great fitness facility in the hotel. And if neither of those are options, take some bands,
Yes,
take some
bands.
stuff, take some running shoes, as god awful as that sounds to me. Like
Do
you
something
have
to
to do,
move.
yeah, like
Yeah.
don't just sit on your butt. You're going to feel so
Especially
much better,
if you're like in meetings all day and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
You
I mean,
gotta
Shout out
move.
to Mecca Lifting Academy.
That's
which you
right.
can find on the website to get this stuff to quality, so you can figure out to still be successful even if you're
right.
somewhere else.
Even if you're stuck in a hotel room.
Yeah, you can still move.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options when traveling, but I think, like Maria said, one of the staples is you've got to bring protein with you. Protein powder, sure, or
You'll get stopped by TSA because they think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Every
you will.
time I get stopped,
Every
I just take
time.
it out and save them the time and say, if you need to test it, test it. But I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, no.
You can't take peanut butter.
no, you cannot,
No, they will take a brand new jar. They'll
and
take
they'll
it.
toss it.
And they'll
And they
eat
will
it.
eat it themselves, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know it. I see them back there.
So that's
just-
actually fine to take it, but TSA just likes to take it.
I'm like, I want to see you throw it away.
Right.
You're not taking my peanut butter.
The other, yeah. So the other thing too is, so a lot of times if you plan out, like you can stop at a nutrition store where you're going. So if you don't want to take up like space in your
Yeah.
luggage or whatever, you can always stop at like a nutrition store or even like a supermarket, like Albertsons, Walmart. I mean, Wally World's everywhere, as much as I hate Walmart.
I know. They always have one.
But they always, like, there's
and they have
always an
macro-friendly
option.
things there.
They do.
I go there
Do what
once
you
every
gotta do.
6 months and
Yep.
stock up.
Yep. And but the other thing you can do is, you can actually make meat, like you can barbecue, chicken, steak, whatever, and you can take it with you on the
Okay,
plane.
I do that. So I do that. I will cook meat, bring it. I'll bring jerky because it's easy. I'll bring
Yeah.
protein bars. I'll bring a little thing of protein powder. and then I'll bring like tortillas or something, and that way I can just make like wraps or something.
Yeah.
So you're
like
not going to be
stuck
eating,
in the airport. Yeah,
you're not
for
going to be
sure.
eating your best meals. Like there's no nachos, right? But you're hitting your goals. It's just a week
Unless
of
you
travel.
eat out, then there's nachos.
Yes, but even eating out when you're traveling, again, depending on what kind of trip it is. If it's like a work trip and you're trying to be on, you're still probably not going to go out and order nachos because that's
Right.
going to just derail your macros.
True.
But you can do things like a grilled chicken burger with like, I don't want to say a side salad because that sounds gross, but you could still do like fries with a grilled chicken burger. Boom, it's a balance between, or get a cheeseburger with a side salad.
Just be more observant when
Right.
you're out
Or
doing things.
yeah, like we
Yes.
talked about tracking out at restaurants before. I mean, that's just what you do when you're gone out of town, you know. But
keep it really simple to break down the meal.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I love taking meat with me. It's super easy. Cook it up. I actually baggie it out and weigh
Into
it out
portions?
so that you don't have to, because obviously, like if you're taking meat, you want to know how much protein is in the meat you're taking. So I will baggie it up into like my size portion, and then I'll just throw all those baggies in a Tupperware and take them, and that way just grab a baggie out of the Tupperware and I don't have to weigh it or anything, right?
You're already good to go. Efficiency.
Yeah.
Planning ahead.
And-
There's a
Right.
theme here. It's-
I mean,
Yeah, planning, weird.
and like she said before, like sometimes like the quality isn't super great. Like, you know, you can go to a grocery store when you get there and get some lunch meat. I mean, lunch meat, sure, it's not going to be the best thing in the
we
world
always
for
do
you.
that. Yeah, we just
But,
buy stuff like
Yeah,
that.
get lunch meat. You can get cartons of, egg whites. You can buy hard-boiled eggs at most places. Like, it's a conscious decision to just not try, right? Because there are options. So when you get to town, go to the grocery store. I mean, I know when I fly places, like my first stop is like, even if I'm by myself, like in an Uber, sometimes I don't even make it all the way to my hotel. I'll just Uber to a grocery store because I have to get water. Like that's numero
I
uno.
don't do that.
Like I am
I'm
such
gross. I
a
drink
water whore.
Yeah, you
Oh
are.
my god.
I don't feel that way.
Like I drink more water than
Well, I do too, but you're a water
like,
snob.
I'm a water snob.
I will drink from the hotel room. I don't care. But he's like, I gotta get my water.
She's gonna have issues, I'll tell you what.
I'm fine. I've made it this far in my
Really
life.
well, actually.
Or her immune system is just gonna be stronger than mine, whatever. That's fine.
One or the other. We'll find out.
But like the
Right.
taste
Time
is
will
so
tell.
key. Like I like water. I like, and this is not water, by the way. This is iced coffee. It's delicious, but I needed some caffeine to keep me going. But, yeah, I think, I enjoy water and just by itself. And so I will stop and like, I literally feel really terribly if I do not have like a couple of gallons of water with me at all times.
I just
It-
take my
I
liquor
take
flask,
one of the. I
and
take one of these.
Yeah, I fill it up wherever I
Yeah, I
can.
take one of
That's
these
it.
on the plane, and then I'm so just bitter about no water through the
Oh,
airport.
travel tip: you can put ice in your Camel or your hydro
Yeah,
flask,
in here.
and you can take ice through TSA,
Yeah.
and then just fill it up with water,
Yeah.
so you'll have cold water.
Travel tip.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had to go back through security, and they don't just make you like, if you take one of these through security with it full of water, they don't just make you dump it out and then send you on your way. No, you have to, they give it back to you and they send you back on the other side of security, and then you dump it out, and then
Yep.
you have to come all the way back
So
through
just
security.
put ice in it, and then fill it up as soon as you pass.
I bring one of those things, and a lot of times they have a drinking fountain with a
The
bottle filler
thing,
in the airport, and you can do that. Or if you think that's sketchy and gross like I do, then you stop and you buy a few things of bottled water.
Snob.
Yeah, total snob. It's okay.
Yeah, you are
It's
what
okay.
you are.
Yeah, I mean, like,
He's
I am what I
owning it.
am. It's like, whatever. I'll stop, and I, like, get so mad every time because, like, as I'm paying for this, like, $65 worth of 2 water bottles, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
You know how many
Like-
Los Betos burritos that is?
Yes.
Like, I'm like, gosh, like, I think I legit have wasted, like, every time I fly, I waste at least $25 on water because of that stupid
Don't be like
airport
Eric,
rule.
save your money.
It's like,
Just fill your water bottle.
it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's also on you, though, Eric. It is.
It is.
No, I'm bitter about it.
On the travel topic, though, if you are going, this bothers me. I don't know why, but if you're going somewhere fun and you're not going to track, I think most people, what they do is they diet and cut their calories so hard before they leave.
Huge mistake.
That when they go, their bodies are more stressed out because they're eating all these things, which
and they're down regulated, and
Yes.
you're apt to
exactly.
balloon.
And then and then on top of that with the stress, then you come back and you're just like swollen and bloated and just not feeling good.
Yeah.
So I think clients think I'm crazy sometimes, but I'm like, I don't think I tell them it's not a good idea to cut before you go. You want to be in a spot where you're eating enough, you're not starving, you're feeling good. And then you can go and not track. And most of the time they come back and they lose weight. They just do, because they don't feel the need to go out and eat everything
you don't
inside.
go into it feeling deprived.
Yes, you're eating everything you want. You're probably not eating much protein, but you're eating within your calories at least. And so
your body's hunger cues are more normalized. Your leptin levels are normal. Like, that's great sound advice. Yeah. Don't go into a vacation where you're going to be on the beach and be like, I have to crash diet and get ready for my vacation.
Good. Well, you're going to look worse because you were stressing out.
Should have thought about that a year ago.
Exactly.
Like, timing here, people. That's like somebody crash dieting into a competition. Like, it does not work. I love that piece of advice, actually. I like to upregulate into vacation. So that way my vacation just continues my upregulation. You're just taking off. You're just, and the other thing I love doing is lifting on vacation, because
always.
It's undisturbed typically, because, you don't know people.
It's nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you don't have time restrictions. So even if you did want to, blab with whoever's there, it's your time. You feel good getting those endorphins released and staying on track. And I literally am a huge grumpy butt face if I don't work out.
I just don't feel good. Like, Jake will be like, are you really going to work out? I'm like, I really am. Because then he's like, you need to work out. I'm like, I know. I'll be right back.
Like,
I just have to go.
Yeah, my wife's like, go to the gym, please.
Put a weight on your back.
Yeah, you're grumpy. Go work out. I'll come back and I'll be like, I'm so sorry for the way I acted when I needed to exercise.
And that's him. He needs to eat and I need to lift. I'm like, you go get breakfast. I'm going to go lift and we'll come back and we'll make sure we're in good mood.
We'll be happy.
Yeah, we'll be much better off.
Yeah, no, for sure. But, planning active vacations is so, important too. Like, I like to do things when I'm on vacation, and my wife's kind of like a beach sitter.
You have to have a good balance, I think.
So we tend to have a good balance, but being active and monitoring things like steps, typically on vacation, like, you should have no problem getting steps, unless it's like a work related trip, like, so
seminars and stuff.
Yeah, so if you're like going on traveling for work versus like actual like traveling for vacation, the work, you're kind of like, that's the worst if you're like stuck in conferences or something like that. But luckily that hasn't happened really since COVID. So go Zoom conferences, right? Just don't take your laptop into the toilet and,
leave your lapel mic on.
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Well, I've seen some good videos.
Yeah, there are some good ones out
it's
there.
Spectacular. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about your desserts. Let's talk desserts here.
Okay, so dessert is a spectrum.
Okay.
You can have filling desserts, which might not always taste as good. You can have desserts that are just super rich, which are usually going to be smaller.
Right.
And then you've got kind of everything in between.
So let's talk like the macro-friendly dessert ideas, because I think people listening, like, there's always like, chocolate chip cookies and
which
stuff like that.
Which I have in my cookbook. That's macro-friendly, actually.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things. It's like, people know their dessert options if they're just being, eating whatever, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But like your favorite, like, say you're deep in prep, and
I'm all about volume at that point.
For sure.
Yeah. So I know, like, last prep, and I was just talking to Kaylee about this actually, because she's starting to make all of my dessert cookbook things, because she's 3 weeks out. But
happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
You just, when you get really lean, you get really hungry. That's how it goes.
just want
Your body's
more.
just like, hey,
Yeah.
bro, let's get the calories up. We're getting kind of skinny.
So if you can
You know?
trick it by eating more volume with, less macros is good. So I actually did Jell-O a lot.
Oh, really?
Yes.
See, I hate
So,
Jell-O.
but it wasn't just straight up Jell-O because that's not good. So I would make like a big thing of Jell-O. I would take berries have less carbs than
Right.
other fruits.
Shout out
So-
raspberries. Those are my
Yeah,
favorite.
raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries.
Yeah,
I would
bomb.
put those with the Jell-O.
Right.
And then I would make like, this sounds so weird now that I'm saying it out loud, but it's okay. I'd make like this protein frosting. So it would be like protein powder with Greek yogurt with a little bit of sugar-free cheesecake pudding.
Oh, yeah.
And you mix it up, so it's
Yeah.
like this thick kind of frosting.
Yeah.
And I just spread it on and mix
Yeah.
it up with the Jell-O.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like kind of weird, but it's filling and it's big and it satisfies the sweet tooth. At the end of the day, you want to eat to feel good
Yep.
and to reach your goals and to like have it
Enjoy
be
it.
Such a big
sustainable.
part of
Yeah.
life because it's literal life.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So-
like
so,
it's
like,
foundational
yeah,
component.
foundational. So I think what we covered is you just start by tracking.
Yes.
And then, get a coach. Like that's what we talk about it as the podcast all the time.
Right.
Find
Somebody,
yourself a coach who
yeah.
knows this stuff.
Somebody to teach you how to do
Somebody
this.
teach you, and then you have those foundations. You're able to develop those habits, and now you're just finding that you just have so much more energy. You're happier. You're able to do those things with your kids that you've never been able to do before.
Yeah, and set a good example for them too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to just, be feeding your kids straight, sugar and junk, right? I mean, when you're feeding your kids good, healthy nutrients. But, the other big point that I like to make to people, and like I said, I don't train like a whole lot of like lifestyle type clients anymore, but so I have far fewer of these conversations. This is like bringing flashbacks to me now, like all this general macro advice, right? Nowadays,
That's my life.
I'm more like,
you go.
prep.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not starve your face off when you're eating 50 carbs type of conversations, right? But, the whole point of this, dude, that's what's up.
Yeah.
And sodium, it's the bomb. No artificial dyes. Take note. But,
kinda
the big point that I like to get across to everyone, whether you be, a competitor or not, is eating, healthy, nutrient-rich foods, things like that, like, and eating for performance and health, like, pretty much all the time, like, your taste buds start to change, and you actually start
Yeah.
to enjoy to eat that way. But then when you do, say, splurge and go out to dinner, or, go have one of your favorite meals, like, it tastes better.
It does.
So you actually enjoy it more.
Yeah,
like,
because it's not something you do all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So like you have value in like,
Yes.
hey, we're gonna, we've been talking about going to Front Door again for like since we went there the last time.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed
and
to.
eventually it
Yeah.
will happen.
Yeah,
Your
Jacob
husband's
said-
gonna
yeah,
kill me.
He is
but-
gonna kill you.
But that's the thing, like, you look forward to it a lot, and you legitimately like can enjoy a meal with friends, and like, you enjoy it more because you're like, hey, this is not something that I do all the time. You know what I mean? Like when you're, eating those rich foods all the time, number one, you're very likely to be,
Have a lot of
overweight or
issues.
yeah, or have
Health
issues. But you also like you just get used to that, and then you become one of those people that's like, ew, like chicken and rice, like ew.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't like, it's not like no healthy food is appetizing to you because you're used to all this healthy or this unhealthy crap that you've been eating, like, yeah, white rice is not as flavorful as Cheez-Its, gotta admit.
That's
like
true.
I had a few Cheez-Its on a plane with my kid a few weeks
You're
ago,
like, shit, I forgot how good
and
these
I
are.
was like, damn,
Yeah.
that Cheez-It is salty
Yeah.
and delicious. Like I
Yeah.
never thought Cheez-Its were even good before, but you know what I mean?
Because
Like
you just don't have them in
Yeah,
your house
ever.
sitting around. Yeah.
You
I think
know?
on the flip side of that, you have the people that only eat like the tilapia and asparagus, and then they go out for their cheat meals, right? And then they get sick because their
Mhm.
body's not used to eating, somewhere in the middle. So it's not this huge spectrum of eating Cheez-Its every day
Right.
and eating tilapia every day. It's trying to find something
Well,
in the middle.
yeah, and like you said before, like a lot of it with food is finding sustainability.
Yes.
So that's why we don't recommend like strict meal plans or people just eating boring bodybuilder food all the time, right? It's flexibility so that we have sustainability, right? Because if we have some flexibility and sustainability, we're going to be able to fit more of those healthy foods in. We're going to gravitate more towards those things, but we're also, you know, going to do that because we want to, and it makes us feel good, and we don't feel deprived and like crap. You know, when we go, you know, feel deprived, like when we're restricting all the time, and then feel like crap when we go and like mess up and have a cheat meal, like, you know,
and then you feel worse and it spirals.
And like,
spiral, and you end up not doing
mentally not good, physically not good.
And
I think a big thing that people, when I say like just track for now, what they do is they're tracking foods that they're already eating, right? So they're tracking it. They're like, I like this. This is sustainable for me because I'm eating what I like. Well, 2-3 months down the road, they realize, okay, I don't feel so good eating these things. They slowly start making those swaps for vegetables and gross foods that they thought before were nasty. And it's gradual, right? You don't go from eating McDonald's every day to eating zucchini and
although
the bar to lifting 225.
Exactly.
Like it's all of it's up.
All of our habits, you know, become that way because it's what we've always done. And so just slowly like having them want to change it instead of a trainer saying you must eat this. You know, it's them that want to change and make those changes. It's not you telling them they have to do it.
Also, short side note on liquid calories. Pet peeve of mine.
Unless it's beer.
I mean, we almost got beer at the store actually.
Oh God!
You. I told Hunter, I'm like, oh, beer. I bet Maria would drink beer on the podcast.
I totally would.
And then I jokingly said that we should all get sloshed on the podcast.
Oh my
one
God!
Of these days. Not.
Actually, Winco's got some good beer selection.
That's where we were. We were Winco. I know, it's good.
Man.
I'm just not a beer person, so I would struggle to like. I feel like I would do you a disservice by even choosing beer.
I would be curious what you picked for me, so it would have been fun.
Okay, we could play that game one of these days.
Like, what does Eric think I'm gonna like?
That's a good game.
It
what
is.
does Eric think? That's a whole YouTube channel.
I mean,
we could go
we could go for days on that, but
no, liquid calories I'm not really a fan of.
No, and that's, you know, the thing, easy thing to cut out of your diet. And I mean, this is like posted everywhere, like easiest thing ever, like quit drinking soda, quit drinking juices,
2021, no like more soda.
I mean I feel like it's just worth mentioning. It seems so obvious to me, but like I feel like we have to mention it when we're talking a little bit about macros and whatnot in this podcast. Kung Fu hands. Don't drink drinks that have calories in them for the most part,
right? So
I mean, dude, it's just such a waste. And let's be honest, like soda doesn't even taste good. Like it's, you know what I mean?
I'm not a soda
like
gal.
I'll do a diet soda like once in a while just to like
only
for
if it's
something
with my
fizzy.
whiskey.
Right? There you go. Atta girl.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
I mean, I actually don't even like whiskey in diet soda. I like whiskey by itself.
I do too.
Yeah, I like whiskey on ice. That's it. Like that's the only way I can. What's that?
With some bitters, it's really good.
Bitters,
like orange bitters.
No, I just like straight whiskey type of person.
With ice, though, you said, right?
With ice.
Okay, well then
Yeah, that's I don't know.
I can get with that. If no
like,
ice, then you're a sociopath, and I don't think we can talk anymore.
I mean, that's just taking shots, and then you're just an alcoholic. Right?
I mean, call that a drink. I don't know.
Right? Yeah. No. So, but like we're talking like this is like one time a year, like when I hunt, maybe like whiskey. Like I feel
it's a
like
special occasion.
You just have to do it. Like when you're in the woods. Like I mean, you just like. The beard's just full force.
Yeah, you kind of have
hair on the chest type of situation. You just have to. And you just got to warm yourself up with some whiskey.
But you like wine?
I do like red wine.
Yeah. See, I don't do wine.
Yeah.
At
no,
all.
my wife.
I like it, but I don't.
My wife's at fault for that. I mean, and the thing is, like, I hardly ever consume alcohol, and like. And anybody that knows me and has known me for a long time would be like shocked if they saw me with a drink in my hand, because it just does not happen. Like it's not that I have any like religious or moral issues with alcohol.
I just choose food.
I would rather eat my calories for sure. And alcohol is not going to really help me with anything. Like I mean, I don't really care about being awkward in social situations. Let's be honest.
Me
so,
either. I'm the one at the food bar, like
yeah,
everyone else is at the drinks, and I'm like, oh, more apps for me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, tracking alcohol, that's just kind of a whole nother bag. But yeah, I just would rather not incorporate that in my diet because I'd rather eat more. Like, alcohol to me is kind of like somebody drinking a regular soda, right? It's just like, it's a lot of extra calories, except for I'd rather have booze than regular soda because at least you get a buzz from it. Yeah, at least you get tipsy. Like, come on. So, but yeah,
that's a good thing. I don't drink that much either. So when I do, it's like one drink and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good.
Like, you hardly have to track anything. Yeah. I'm like half a glass of wine and I'm like, hey, honey.
I know, right?
And my wife's like, dude, are you for real right now? And I'm like, I'm literally feel a little bit buzzed from half a glass of wine.
I feel that.
And then, so yeah, it's a good thing.
I'm like, I'm gonna have a beer, Jacob, so you better drive. He's like, did you say a beer? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have a beer.
Yeah, I'd say my alcohol tolerance is less than most like 100-pound women college students. It's bad. Yeah, but I mean, I think that is, like you said, it's a great thing.
Tolerance is off the chart.
The beef tolerance.
Give him all the beef.
Dude, I can handle all the beef calories.
Speaking of beef, we need to go do the Big Judd's 2-pounder.
Oh, yes.
I've done the 1-pound challenge in 26 minutes.
Oh, nice. The funny thing about that is, like, I ate like 12 ounces of beef for breakfast this morning.
So you'd be fine.
So, like, it's like the 1-pound challenge. I'm like, okay, I'm 4 ounces out. I was still starving after I had breakfast.
Yeah, you got to add the bun. So the 1 pound is different than the 2 because with the 2, you have to do fry or you have to do tots. I can't remember.
Well, it's a basket of fries or tots, I think.
You can't pick with the 2. The 2 you have no, and
I
you
hope
have
it's tots. It's tots.
I hope it's tots. Thank God.
And
tots.
The problem too.
Pause. Tots or fries.
Tots.
Yeah, okay. That's just making sure. Continue.
Any day. Yeah. But the 2 you have to drink a soda with it. And I've called it.
It can be lemonade.
Oh, can it?
Oh, that would be preferred. Yeah.
Would be highly
That's so
preferred,
sweet,
but it's still
though.
32 ounces.
Ugh.
It's a massive drink.
Because I remember calling and saying, "Can I do water?" And she was like, "No." And I said,
"No."
But it's still liquid. Like it's gonna fill.
I did that Rocky's. Do you remember Rocky's Diner?
Yes.
I did the Rocky's Diner.
I've heard that wasn't very good, but I know what you're talking about.
No, it was good. No,
it was good.
It was solid.
Okay.
Oh yeah, dude. I enjoyed it. I almost asked him for another one, and the guy was like.
You crazy.
Yeah, he's
They used to have a sushi
what?
challenge here in Boise and not anymore.
So
I
when IOU Sushi opened on Milwaukee, or like pretty soon there after it opened, my buddy, I was super young, probably still in high school or something at the time, but yeah, my buddy's dad took us there and I was like, dude, all you can eat sushi? Are you kidding me? My life is complete.
Yeah.
And I would regularly go there and smash like 10 to 12 rolls. And
that's what's up.
And then like, I mean, and they're like the 10-piece these rolls are like
They're
this
delicious.
big. They're huge. So good. And they have all the fried goodies on them and whatnot. And I remember I was with, I had a workout partner that I was training with for a show. And I was like due for a good refeed, and this is off the rails refeed. You should not do this, but I was like 18. I was like 18 or 19 years old at the time. Don't do this. But I went to IOU and I was just gonna do like probably 5 rolls. I think I calculated it based off of how many carbs I needed. I was gonna do like 5 full-size rolls. And that was going to give me roughly the calories that I needed to finish out my day. And I used to go in there frequently enough that the guys all knew me by name, and they knew that I would just come in there and pound sushi. They're like, "You're so little," even that, like, I mean, I'm not like a small guy, but they were used to the Boise State football players. The linemen would come in there and just crush it. And they're like, "You're so much littler than them, but you eat like twice as much." And I'm like, yeah.
I know them about you.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I'll eat those guys into the ground. Bring it, And so anyway, they knew me, and the dude sees me, and he just sent me like, dude, this table size plate of sushi full. He's
Bless
like,
his heart.
I know. He's like, we
Yeah.
haven't seen you in so long, and and he knew all of my favorite things.
Wow.
They had these like nigiri things that were like, the rice, piece of salmon, and then some crab
They're
with like a little hot sriracha on it. Anyway, like those, and then they have like this bogus roll of He knew all the things that I loved, and he literally sent me a table size plate of sushi, and I was just
That's
like,
a good man.
That is a good
I want
I'm
to find
like,
him. Do you think he'd
"My
remember you?
boy." He's not there anymore.
I was like, I'll go with you, and
Yeah,
then he'll hook
gosh,
us up.
I can't remember
don't
his
do that.
name. I could remember his name if I really thought about it. It was
that would be
like,
the nighttime thoughts.
anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
keeping him up.
right. But yeah, I ate 17 rolls.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so it was 100, because not all of them were rolls, but I kept track. I counted. It was 175 pieces,
Oh,
full on
I'm
pieces
impressed. That's pretty
of
good.
sushi,
That's okay.
and
That's height. That's height.
No, that's incredible.
yeah. So the funniest part about this is my workout partner at the time that was with me. He was like jaw on the floor, like that is. I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
I've had that.
Right, a little
I've
bit of
had
both.
that.
And then
Are you just like one after the other?
yeah, I was just like bump 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 bump, little drink of water, but
Wait, are you a wasabi person?
Yeah. I mean,
Ginger.
Yeah, you don't do ginger either.
I'll do ginger at the end. It's to cleanse the palate,
Yeah.
But
Processes it.
right. But yeah, it's a little like I like thick. So like wasabi with a little bit of soy sauce. Not these people who like do some wasabi in their soy sauce. I'm
You want it
like,
to be like a paste.
I'm like some soy sauce in my
I'm the
wasabi
person
type of
that
guy.
just wants a little wasabi in
Yeah.
my
I
soy
think I'm
sauce.
probably in between you two.
Yeah. So anyway, I like it
It
like a
definitely
little
changes
bit
color.
pasty for sure. But anyway, afterwards I was like, that's solid. I'm ready for dessert now. And I went to
I'm really
Winco
proud of
and
them.
got a piece
I like him
of
even
carrot
more.
cake, and I ate that. And then I went home and laid on my tile floor because I was.
It hit
It
you.
always fails.
It hit me.
Sushi
yeah.
doesn't hit till later. Like you
Yeah,
don't know
no,
you're
the
full.
rice, all of a sudden, I drank a
Yeah.
bunch of water, and I was like, I think I'm
no.
gonna explode. But yeah, the stupid things that I have done. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, sushi. All you can eat sushi is the best.
How do you track sushi?
Typically, I just estimate based off the amount of rice I estimate to be on there, the amount of fish in ounces that I estimate to be on there, and if it has any like added fat. So if you have avocado, obviously, if you have any tempura, if it's fried, if you have any like cream cheese, if the roll itself is fried. I don't like the fried stuff as much. I mean, I love shrimp tempura, let's be honest,
yeah,
but
that's the bomb.
I typically try and get rolls that do not have tempura on them and do not have cream cheese on them. So I'll typically try and get rolls that's just the rice, whatever paper, whether it be rice or seaweed paper, and then the fish. And then I do love me some avocado on it. So I have to estimate
I
for
like
how
cream
much.
cheese.
I do love cream cheese on there, but I try to stay away from it just because it's going to increase fats,
So does avocado, but at least it gives you some
Right,
protein.
but I like
There you go.
avocado more than cream cheese
Yeah.
on my sushi, I think.
That's why you get 6 rolls. You have the best of all the worlds.
Well, true. So off season bulking gains for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of estimate based off that, and I think that like depending on the roll, like you're typically anywhere from like the size of the roll makes such a huge difference, right? Because if you got like something like the size of this microphone, like that's a pretty thick sushi roll,
that's
right?
true. So what I
So-
tell people is
Can't
to
even,
go
reach it with the chopstick.
Right.
on like Yelp and see the size if you're trying to plan ahead.
Right.
You
Or
wanna
if
kind
you're a
of-
frequent flyer.
Yes.
So shout out to Ahi Sushi in Eagle if you guys live in the Boise area. Ahi Sushi in Eagle will make any of their rolls protein style. So if you're on prep, or if you just want less carbs, or you're doing keto, or I love rice with my sushi, but then I got one of these rolls protein style, and you can tell them like, just make me a protein style roll. I like salmon, tuna, and avocado, and they'll just go make you something creative and whatever. Or you can get any of their rolls made into a protein style, and they replace the rice with crab. And like I said, I love rice, and I have no qualms with carbs. so it's not a big deal to me, but it
It's good to have the
tastes,
option.
they legit taste as good, if not better. Like, I just like to have a couple protein style rolls when we
Yeah,
go
just mix
there,
it up.
just because it tastes different and super, like, they're amazing. It's
I'll have to try
like,
that. So what is it? Just like seaweed they wrap it to keep it together?
yeah, they'll just wrap it in seaweed and they'll have the crab, and yeah, it's, dude, it is
I'm gonna have to go try that
so,
now.
it is so good.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna have to do like a docu-series of us eating.
You ever see
eventually.
Man vs. Food?
Yeah.
So-
Like, they
Yes.
Yeah.
I told Jacob that's my dream job. Like, he has it so easy. He gets to go around and just like diners, dive-ins, and
just-
drives.
Dude, Triple D, bro,
Yeah.
that was on in the gym today, and I
I
was
love that.
I love how we
salivating.
put that stuff on here.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, I don't know if people like it because
I
they say
love
they
it.
get hungry, and I'm
Dude.
like,
So
but
Yeah.
it's inspiring.
That's why they call it food porn, right?
So true.
Get those hunger veins stimulated.
I'm all about
I'm weird
food.
though. Like I would, like if I am like fasting, I would like watch food being prepared or eaten. It like subconsciously like makes me feel like I'm eating it too.
I could see that.
It gets me through it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
really, you pick up like ideas like, oh, I could try to like incorporate that into,
Sure.
That's
you know,
what I like.
like to be able to eat like well and hit macros and stuff. Like, you have to be able to cook.
Yeah.
Like, number one, like you will be so unhappy like if you can't cook meat well in one way, shape, or like in
Cook
some way.
something. Like, you
Yeah,
have to be able to
like
cook something.
you have to be able to make protein like taste good. Like, you can't like burn your eggs. You can't like, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be able to make it appetizing. Forget if it's like macro friendly or not. Like, start with like
gotta
being able to
taste
cook
good.
decent stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna be able to cook for yourself if, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
you've got to be able to do that. So,
Yeah.
well, have we blabbed for long enough? I think we're airing on a 2-hour episode here, and
shoot.
go figure. It's about food. I mean,
Literally, I could
are
be
we
here for
really
days.
surprised? We could talk about food that we like and everything, but hopefully there's some good nuggets of information and tips and tricks and just, you know, ways to think about food, learn from, you know, our mistakes that we've made
Yeah.
through the years. Like, you know, don't be going out pounding, you know, huge pizzas. Like, the goal with nutrition is balance, right? And eating to achieve your goals. Like, that's the whole point. Like, ask yourself, does eating this help me achieve my goal? If yes, sure, go for it. If not, then hey, probably stay away, you know?
Or if
Oh, go ahead, Maria.
I was gonna say, or if no, then say, well, I'm gonna like regret it. And if you say yes, then don't do it. But if you're not, you know,
Yeah.
like going to Italy eating gelato, I'm like,
Oh yeah.
no, but I'm gonna do it anyways because it's aligned with my mental goals, I guess. So
Yeah,
It's pretty good for the
it's an experience, right?
Yeah.
And how often are you traveling in Europe? Like,
Right.
I've only ever been once in my life, right? Like, it's not that often. A week of debauchery is not going to ruin my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
If you're confused, need help, reach out to Maria, Eric. Links will be down below.
Yeah, all
Let's
the
just make
food.
sure to get you feeling your best self.
that's right.
yeah, I think a lot of people and also I think with females especially when they're under eating, they have more hormonal factors to think about. And so a lot of coaches, when they're like, well, eat 20 grams of fat a day is what you should do. Well, they put themselves in this position where they're like, I tracked macros, it didn't work. And it's like, well, your coach was really shitty because
Right.
you should not be eating 20 grams of
Yeah,
fat for any reason.
the coaching aspect of nutrition is like key. You know, you have to have somebody that's knowledgeable with that, and there's not a lot of coaches that are. There's not a lot of coaches that are knowledgeable with nutrition, because just look at the coach. Do they look like they track macros or not? Right? I
That's
mean,
true.
there's not a lot of coaches out there that look like they track macros. So
And ask questions too. A lot
Yeah.
of people go in blindly because so and so told them, and it's like, well, you should kind of be interviewing your coach too. You know,
And
it
we've
should
talked
be,
about that before.
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do your research. Don't just blindly, you know, go to a coach because they
'Cause
eat.
they're a coach.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, don't go to the the 20 grams of fat per day coach. That's
Yeah.
a horrible decision.
There's a tidbit. If they say 20 grams of fat,
Yeah,
run.
yeah,
Run.
yeah.
That's
Run,
a instant
fast.
run.
If they say keto or if they say any
Cheat meal.
extremes, yeah, if they say any extremes, like, whatever it could
There's
be.
like
but-
hot button words
Yeah,
that you should
there's
avoid.
yeah. We should make a list of hot
We
buttons.
should.
List of
like-
hot button words down below.
There's so many. Like,
We'll figure it out.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's a
Yeah.
wrap.
Thank you for joining us on the Power of Lifting podcast. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. For more content like this, follow Eric Cafferty and the Mecca Gym on all social media platforms.